years, whole decades gone in an instant. Until nothing is left.
We gotta go.
We gotta go.
We're going. Skips, want to help save the universe?
I'm in.
Hello and welcome to Watchin' Stuff, the show about watching stuff. Take two! Because technology...
Yeah, technology.
God bless it. So anyways, quick summation. We watched those WWE movies. Most of them sucked. Some of them were actually really good. I think one.
Yeah.
After that, we decided we were talking about Hanna-Barbera, which then led to Cartoon Network and how much it sucks ass. And then it led to Cartoon Network-related movies, and now we're here. We're talking about regular show, the movie. Okay, so, whyboy,
Yeah.
you don't really have too much of a familiarity with the show.
I sort of have a somewhat familiarity. I've watched some episodes from the show, actually, like maybe one or two, but I'm mostly familiar with them through the online games that I've done reviews for Bubble Blabber. And they have the sort of trope that I'm sure are in the show as well. Like 80s aesthetics, just sort of the dude bro sort of jokes. And it's just, that's all I can really imagine the show would be. Just 80s and dude bro talk.
About 99% of it. There's like that 0.1% where it's like, there's some real emotional stuff there about like, what to do with your life, growing up, trying to have a relationship, dealing with heartbreak.
Yeah.
But most of it is that 80s aesthetic and the nonstop. Fuck it. So eventually, because it was a long-running show, Cartoon Network, like they usually do, if it's long-running, we can make money on it. Let's make this show a movie.
Yes, let's make us a movie. And we got regular show, The Movie, which is the time travel story that most of us never really thought about.
It's weird how, like, they fall back to time travel for this, and then they did it previously on Dexter's Lab Ego Trip.
Yeah, but it's done in sort of two different ways, in a sense.
Well, Dexter's Lab did it, like, tongue-in-cheek, they weren't going for actual science fiction to it. With this one, they were, and they just fucked it up.
Yeah.
Because the whole mentality is, in the distant future of wherever the fuck, they don't really tell you a date. At least I don't think they do. I don't remember them saying a date. Mordecai and Rigby aren't friends. There's a huge, like, intergalactic war led by this guy called Mr. Ross, who has this event horizon called the Time-nado.
Yeah.
And he wants to end all reality and all time and existence. Mordecai and Rigby get in a huge fight because they had a falling out as friends. So then after evil future Mordecai shoots future Rigby in the chest, future Rigby goes back in time to current day Rigby. And you see Mordecai and Rigby are having that conversation where it's like, no, we can't work at the park forever. Don't worry, they don't actually by the end of the fucking series.
Yeah.
Because they have two separate timelines. Because one of them is they become accomplished musicians, and another one is they just grow up and raise families. So after fucking future Rigby shows up, and he tells them what happens, he drops dead, which is hilarious. Then they have to go into the past, so we get to see Mordecai and Rigby when they were kids, where they look exactly the same, but they have hair.
Yeah.
Which has me believe they went bald, I guess.
With 80s hairdos.
With like 80s hair, because it's the 80s. The show does that a lot, actually, where it's like, it lets you know it's the 80s. It's almost like that BoJack Horseman bit where it's like,
generic 80s new wave, beep, bop, beep, bop, beep, bop. This is a song from the 80s, the decade which it currently is.
It is that sort of tongue-in-cheek sort of style that regular show is sort of more famous for, even sounding more in the games. Here, I do find that it's a little bit on the nose in a way, in sort of an obnoxious way in the end.
well, that's the whole show, though.
Yeah.
There's, like, their 100th episode is great because they play, like, The Touch, that's famous from that Transformers animated movie that came out in the 80s.
Oh, I'm trying to remember Touch.
You got the touch. You
Love that song. Man, that song gets you fucking pumped up.
It is a very pump up sort of song.
So, the idea is that now the park gang has to go back in time. They have to make sure that they stop the Time-Nado from ever being conceived. And right away out of the gate, we'll tell you, time travel-wise, movie falls apart.
Yeah.
It does. Because once they destroy the time device that makes the Time-Nado, the teacher wouldn't have had the accident that turned him evil and making Mr. Ross like a mad overlord.
Yeah, but instead, Ross from the future gives them another little time device from the future to give to the past.
Yeah, and that's not how it works.
Yeah.
Once you destroy the focal point of where everything started, you can't have that future exist. It just doesn't.
Yeah.
It would fade. And I know, it's really weird that you guys are sitting there and you're like, whyboy and Nero are harping about time travel logic in a regular show movie. I'm just saying, if you're going to do time travel and not make it the goofy tongue-in-cheek nature of, say, Dexter's Lab, and you're going to try and tell it like an actual time travel story, adhere to the rules of how time travel works.
Yeah, and it could just be as simple as he just switched it out with a future version of the same device and just placed the past one back there after he destroyed the future one.
The same device that wouldn't exist because that future wouldn't exist because it was disrupted in the past.
Yeah. Yeah, that would make more sense.
It's basic time travel.
Yeah.
Yeah. You start here, it creates this. If you change something here, it'll change something here.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Not rocket science. I think it's like quantum physics or some shit, though, so, I mean... It's got probably some degree of science to it, I gotta tell you. So, let me ask you, alright? I'll grill you a little bit on this.
Yeah, grill me.
As a person coming in, you know, not too familiar with the show, a bit more familiar with the games, but a little bit fresh to this take, what is your takeaway from each character's starting? Let's start with Benson, you know, the gumball machine.
He's like Benson as a character just comes out as the sort of the angry Squidward stereotype, which I sort of like because unlike in sort of SpongeBob SquarePants, where he's just played to the sort of like Squidward torture porn sort of genre that sort of permeated sort of the show in the later seasons. There's actually more reason for him to why he's angry because he's the manager of the whole park and he just wants Rigby and Mordecai, the two lazy asses of his whole crew, get off their asses and do work. So you feel more sympathy for him when he's just yelling at people.
There's a really good episode in an earlier season where he actually has... he's basically put to the task of he has to do this job, this one particular job, or he'll be fired. And Mordecai and Rigby choose to fuck around intentionally, even though they know that he'll get fired. And Benson has this great scene where he breaks down and starts crying.
When are you two gonna learn that your actions have consequences? Consequences that affect other people, like me. Don't you two understand? I'm about to lose my job. You may not care about keeping your jobs, but I care about keeping mine. Because if I lose my job, I have nothing. Do you hear me? I have nothing.
And it really solidifies, fucking Mordecai and Rigby are horrible people, but if Mordecai's left on his own without Rigby, he actually becomes a better person.
Yeah.
Like, Rigby flat out brings out the worst in Mordecai.
He really does. But let's just go through all the characters first before we go to the crowning achievement of asshole characters.
So, Pops, you know, the guy with the big old noggin.
Yeah. You know, throughout our first watching of the movie together, like, I really wanted to make some pedophile jokes. Because he just had that sort of voice to him. But
my takeaway when I first watched the show, I was like, is he special needs? Like, not in an insulting way, but he seems to obviously act... He acts very childish for a guy who's clearly old.
It is whimsically childish. And
yeah, so I was like, learning disability, perhaps? But no, like, he actually also comes from a pilot that the show's creator made about, like, the man from Lollipop Land. and he's like the lollipop ambassador, and he's whimsical in English.
Yeah. And it's just nice, like... And I do like the Pop's character, because he's just sort of a fun, quirky, little just lighthearted character to basically just liven up the whole crew, because none of the other characters are sort of like super happy, super nice and all that.
He's just like really charming.
Yeah.
All right, Skips, the immortal Yeti that is a groundskeeper.
Skips looks cool, and I do like the animation of just him skipping everywhere, even though you told me that it's just a fun little...
that little jump animation. I remember you asked too, you're like, what's with his legs? And I said, oh, he skips. And you're like, oh, because his name is Skips. No, it's because his girlfriend actually died, and it was this woman he loved very deeply.
The reason I always skip is, in all my life, my heart yearned for only one woman. And we used to skip together all the time. On the day I lost her, I vowed to skip every day for the rest of my life, so that I'd never forget the time we spent.
What the fuck?
Well, that doesn't make it fun anymore.
So, I thought this was a comedy. It is a comedy! That's the one bit of drama where you're like, holy shit. Again, this show also gets amazingly dark from time to time. Like, really dark from time to time.
Yeah, I've heard that as well. But yeah, Skips is nice. He didn't really do much in the movie to really understand his full character. He's just sort of like the mechanic.
He's just grumpy.
He's just a mechanic sort of guy in this movie.
Which I love. They're like, Skips, can you fix the time machine? Ah, yeah. You know, he's a mechanic, so everything can be fixed with just a mechanic, even if it's like future tech.
Yeah. It's like, beat with a wrench one time. There we go, fixed.
Yeah. After that is Muscle Man and High Five Ghost, because they're usually always together.
Yeah, they're sort of the epitome of the sort of 80s dude bro sort of mentality. Just like, oh yeah, I'm a tough guy, and my dude bro ghost. Yeah, high five, yeah.
I actually really like Muscle Man and High Five's Ghost. They're very fucking funny.
Yeah, they are funny characters, and I just sort of like their voice. It's just sort of like that douchebag voice personality. Yeah, that sort of went into what...
You know who else?
Sort of went to what...
You know who else has a douche personality? My mom! God, he always has that joke, too.
Yeah, that's sort of the voice that went into what the vanilla voice came into. Like, it first started off as a dude bro sort of personality, but then you gotta do it lower. It's just like, you gotta give sort of like a non-caring sort of vibe to it. It's like, God.
It's that Valley Girl. The Valley Girl level. So, okay, then we got the creme de la crap. We got Mordecai and Rigby. So, first off, Mordecai, what's your takeaway from the movie of who his character is?
I sort of really like Mordecai in the end, because basically his sort of like arc throughout the whole movie is sort of that questioning of, do I really want to just spend my time in the park just goofing off for all my days left now? Or do I want to go do something else? Which is a very sort of real life sort of problem. Like, I'm even dealing with that right now, just doing a whole bunch of, like, job search on the side. It's a real issue.
He feels like a person.
Yeah. And, yeah, so that's why I really like him. It's just when you bring Rigby into everything, it's just sort of like, oh, well, now he's a dude bro now as well. He got infected with the virus.
Rigby is the kind of character that, if you guys anybody ever remembers growing up, and your parent always tells you, like, don't hang out with that one person because they're a bad influence, Rigby fucking encapsulates everything about that kind of character.
He really is. He is just such an awful person. And there's just...
Chronic liar.
Yep.
Selfish.
Yeah, it's just those two things, really, but that just sort of expands to his full persona.
Like, he constantly intentionally is a dick, and like 9 times out of 10 he doesn't
really
care.
That's one of the moments that really pissed me off about this. Like, Mr. Ross's whole motivation for this is that Rigby messed up one of his volleyball tournaments to basically ruin his dream and such.
It was the big game to win.
Yeah.
And Rigby, for no reason, comes in with a saxophone.
Yeah, just every other time in this movie, he's just saying, look, it was an accident, man. Oh yeah, you accidentally grabbed a saxophone and just started playing it.
You grabbed a saxophone, walked into the gymnasium where, like, all the bleachers were filled with people and a volleyball tournament was clearly going on. You then accidentally played a note that accidentally distracted everybody and cost them the championship game. Rigby's a fucking douchebag.
He really is.
And he never stops being a douchebag. Even all the way to the series finale, he is a douchebag.
He really, really is. I just can't see anything redeemable about his character, because he finds it so hard to just apologize. But even when he does apologize, the show sort of just lets him glide by on everything.
Well, I'm sure you did all you could to save your friendship, too.
Yeah, I did a bunch of stuff. I wallowed in self-pity, I flew off in a rush.
Whoa, you did do a lot.
I know! There's literally nothing else I could do.
You're a fucking piece of shit. I hope you get cancer and die.
It's like, yeah, like if I was there, I would have apologized or something. I just apologize. Like, it's more the subtext of the situation, just more just saying, like, apologize, you friggin' idiot.
What really killed me, and it's funny, because by this point, my friend Verb and I had been watching a regular show for a very long time, and we hate Rigby. We think he's, like, just one of the worst characters in animation. What a douchebag. There's, like, no other summation. And we get to the point where they're about to finish high school, and they sent out certificates to, college university. Yeah. I love the jokes, by the way. Those little jokes are usually the funniest ones, where it's like college university.
Yeah, it's just a tongue-in-cheek. So like, this could be anything that we possibly could want, but let's go to the most uncreative ones as possible. It's like I have Puppet the Puppet.
Yeah, but like that's why it's funny. So, like, the whole idea is that college university is supposed to be the college that anybody can get into, regardless of grades. Which is great for Rigby, because Rigby's a colossal fuck-up. Which is another thing, by the way, is he chooses to constantly squander doing classwork, and then he has the gall to, like, beg for a makeup project to pass.
Yeah.
You can't choose to like, it's one thing when it's like you're having trouble with the material and you need a little bit extra to get by. That's understandable. There's another where it's like you choose to fuck up. You don't care about the consequences. Then when the consequences strike you, you, like, beg for forgiveness.
Yeah. And it's sort of just the douchebag sort of student mentality that a lot of students actually go through. But
I know, that's
sort of a reality sort of thing. So that's not
I know Rigby's. I once made the joke, and I don't think I've ever told you this joke, but I've said, look at your group of friends. If you can't spot the Rigby, I got some bad news for you.
What, there's a Rigby?
Every group of friends has a Rigby.
Yeah, I can see that. I definitely did have a Rigby back in the day. See that?
Your fucking eyes went up like, wait. And you, like, shifted through all your friends' profiles right now, and you're like, who's the Rigby?
Who's the Rigby out of my group? Who am I going to out as the Rigby? Let's go to the next time we meet each other. It's like, Rigby!
Tell you what, if they scream, stop talking! That's how you know they're the Rigby. So the whole thing is that Mordecai got accepted to college university, and Rigby didn't, because, of course, Rigby's a colossal fuck-up. We can't feel bad that he's a colossal fuck-up, because he chooses to be a colossal fuck-up. And when he sees that Mordecai made it in, he steals Mordecai's acceptance letter, destroys it, and replaces it with a forgery saying that he was denied. So Mordecai would never go to the college he wanted, he would never become the artist he wanted, and the end result is he ends up at the park with Rigby.
Yeah.
Now, mind you, after the fact, this is kind of retconned anyways, because at the end of the series, he does become a fucking artist. But, like, at this point, when it came out, I want you to think about that. Rigby willingly chose to sacrifice his friend's potential future because he selfishly wanted to keep him around.
And the killer of that is, like, there could be the whole sort of moral, it's just like, you know, dude, I would have just stayed with you anyways if you just told me the truth. Like, I would never.
Or we could have still been friends and I could have still gone to college.
Yeah.
I mean.
I know, but we're thinking on the this movie's launch. We're just like, if you don't go to the same university, you're going to lose your friends.
And they kind of nail that home, too, I think. Because then they have another character who said, like, you know, I went to this college, my friend went to another one, and now we hate each other's guts.
Yeah, that's sort of... It's supposed to be the tongue-in-cheek sort of joke, but I think that's more the theming of the movie, where if you're not together, you're going to lose the connection with them. Which I feel is a very bad lesson to make. The lesson should be, like, you have to put in the extra effort to basically make that connection keep together, because that's more reality. Like,
I mean, fucking, we're like, what, countries apart, and we're fine?
Yeah, because we make the effort to basically talk to each other every day. That's the whole lesson. You gotta put the effort into it, or it's not possible.
Yeah, but look who we're talking to. It's fucking Rigby.
Yeah, so his effort is lying to basically get them to stay together.
His effort is committing a federal crime, because he tampered with mail.
Yeah.
And then he decided to screw over his friend's future because he selfishly would rather keep him around just because he doesn't want to lose him. Rigby's a sack of shit, and the worst part is the movie never penalizes him for being this horrible.
The movie is sort of setting it up that he should be penalized, like the whole Father Time situation. But then after that, Rigby goes to save Mordecai as they're going to the final climax of the whole Tornado thing. And so they finally have their talks, just like, Mordecai, I'm sorry for not getting you to the college university. And Mordecai's just like, you know, dude, it's alright. I probably wouldn't have gone there anyways. And just sort of like, oh, well, you just brushed away all of what Rigby was saying. Good for you. He's completely, basically in the right now.
The thing about the film, too, is there isn't much meat. It really is like they just took the regular show, stretched it for an hour.
Yeah. Like, if you chopped out all the unnecessary bits, like with the rest of the park gang, it could have just been an episode where it was just Mordecai and Rigby learning that Rigby lied to get them to stay together. And it would have been just fine as a half-hour sort of, like, almost flashback sort of episode. As there was that one scene where where Rigby was going through the hallway, and basically all the portals around him were showing episodes from the past.
You know, to wrap it up, what's your rating on this one? Because I know where I'm at.
I would say almost a crunch chowder, but I'm just not as angry with it as I would have been. Like, even as a 30-minute movie just stretched out to an hour long sort of epic in a way. Like, I've watched a bunch of, like, the Scooby-Doo movies that do the same thing. Like, this was able to, like, piece together a basic structure. The thing that really ruins it for me is the Rigby character and how, moral-wise, he doesn't really get a moral at the end. Just says, I'm sorry. It's just like, oh, I'm completely fine now. Hooray! So, really, meh.
I'll concede to that. I mean, I wanted to give it a crud chowder. Most of that is on Rigby, who actually is a rock bottom piece of shit of character. It is sort of a meh kind of watch. It's not one of their worst animated films they've done. I would argue it's definitely forgettable, though.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, they have a lot of films like that where it's like you don't really remember it after seeing it. I feel like this and like My Gym Partner's a Monkey. They're the kinds that fall by the wayside that you just don't really
think about at the end.
Recollect.
There was that other Cartoon Network movie that we watched. I don't think we'll be forgetting that for a while.
Oh, Reanimated? No, I think there needs to be that needs a full-blown review, I think, because I feel like we could just tear that one a new asshole.
That was on our list of stuff to do. We were just both like, oh god, after a regular show. Show looks like a gem.
We were so ready to dive into Reanimated and be like, okay, we remember not liking this. And that's it. It was like, we remember not liking it. And we were going to go, and then we were going to do it for an episode of Watchin' stuff. And then we watched it. We didn't laugh.
Once. Not a single time. Not even a pity chuckle.
like, the most we got was a scene happened, and I would go, oh, well, that could have been funny.
And I probably just laughed at the overly stupidity of it, even though that movie didn't really intend it.
You would laugh at, like, when I would say something very dry. Yeah. So, like when something happened, I said, oh, well, that could have been funny. You laugh at the idea of me saying it could have been funny as opposed to the actual joke that the movie was trying to make. So we'll probably review the fuck out of that one, and honestly, that might be a two-man kind of crew deal, because I know I definitely want to get a little bit of that script action.
Yeah, we'll definitely cover that someday, and it just sort of puts into my mind that regular show, it's just still meh quality. Like, you can watch the whole movie.
It could have been reanimated!
Yeah, it could have been reanimated. That's all we can say about the Cartoon Network movies. If you're at least meh-worthy, you could have been reanimated, so we'll give you a pass. A meh pass.
But, much like Rigby, regular show the movie does the bare minimum to scratch by.
Ooh, that's sort of clever in the connections there.